Okay, Dad. A couple more questions here. What was your favorite holiday and why?
Oh, it has to be Christmas. Both before getting married and after getting married. Always wonderful time with families together and just the love of Christmas is with everybody.
Mm-hmm. I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play a sport, either organized or unorganized?
Um, well, unorganized. I used to play a lot of softball in the alley where we lived on Sawyer Avenue, the alley behind our house. Just a pickup game, we don't have play softball, and the softball in Chicago was a big ball. It wasn't the little ball that they used
Mm-hmm.
everywhere else. This was a huge ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. You played in an alley?
Yeah.
Wow.
This long, narrow field.
I'll say.
Yeah, so I used to play that. And then, of course, when I went to college, joined the fraternity, we had some interfraternity sports
Okay.
that I participated in. Baseball, football,
Football?
yeah,
Wow.
touch football.
Okay, I was going to say.
And I'll never forget the time I was defending and running to get to tag the quarterback, and there was a guy on the opposing team that had played football in high school,
Oh!
and he gave me a block that just knocked me out. I mean, I went flying.
Oh, that's awful.
So I realized there was a big difference between pickup football and people that had more experience.
Yes, especially when you don't have pads on. Oh, that's scary. Okay. Were you ever seriously sick?
Oh, several times.
And what were those times?
Well, the first one was I had appendicitis, ruptured appendix, peritonitis. Peritonitis is when the infection gets all through your whole
Oh.
abdomen.
That was in college, right?
Yeah, it was after my first year of college, I think it was, or after my senior year of high school, I forgot which. But I was in the hospital for 2 weeks with that.
Wow.
And then I had to get back, I had to go to Stanford after that, and my dad drove out with me.
But it sounds like it was in between, it didn't happen during college. Is that right?
It happened just before I was going back to college for
Oh,
the
okay.
fall term.
Wow. So he drove you back because he wanted to make sure you were okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he flew back from there.
Wow.
Back to Chicago. So that was, I'll never be able to thank him enough for what he did then.
Wow.
In fact, since I didn't have any money to pay for the surgery, I think my folks actually paid for it.
Wow. That was probably costly.
Yeah, because I didn't have insurance because it was between terms.
Oh, that's awful.
When I was in school, I had student
Yes.
insurance, but before the term started, I didn't.
Wow.
So that was the first time I was seriously ill. The second time was not as bad, but very painful. I had a gallbladder attack.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, gallbladder attack, went into the hospital.
When was that?
When I was working at Bell Labs, probably after my fifth or eighth year of working there.
Okay.
I was in Allentown at that time. Oh, so it was
A little later on.
a little later. It was like the 15th year or 16th year I was working for Bell Labs.
Okay. And you had insurance.
Yeah, then I had insurance, but that was still a very painful thing. I was in the hospital for I think 3 or 4 days, and then I was home for 2 weeks before I could go back to work.
Wow. That's so different now.
Yeah. Oh,
Huh.
yeah, because now they have procedures that don't require cutting a 6-inch slit in your
Right.
chest. You know.
Right. Wow. Okay, a little change of gears here. What's different about the home life you created with Mom versus the home life you came from?
Um, well, of course, the home life I came from, I was a child, and the parents were in charge, my parents. Uh, when I created home life here, Mom and I were the parents, and
Mm-hmm.
so we were the ones that were responsible for everything.
But did you intentionally do things any differently, or do things very much the same?
Well, it's a different role you're playing, so things always look different. But as far as the day-to-day kinds of things like religion and discipline and things like that, they were pretty much the same
Okay.
in the two places.
Mm-hmm. And what did you enjoy most about being a parent, and what do you enjoy most about being a parent now? So what did you enjoy when we were younger, and what do you most enjoy now?
Well, I enjoyed the role of father and being responsible for everything and bringing up the family, bringing up the children. Uh, that's what I enjoyed. And playing with the kids and when they were young, reading to them. I remember when Patty was in the hospital with her tonsil, having her tonsils out, I went and brought some readings so I could read to her in the hospital.
Oh, that's neat.
Um, I enjoyed that role, and of course,
Dad, before you go on, I remember a wonderful memory of you sitting around with the big reel tape recorder
yeah,
with all of us and just taping us.
yeah, taping your, asking you questions, kind of like what we're doing right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we probably still have that tape somewhere.
We do. Yeah, because I think you made copies for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I've made a number of videos too over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and John copied those so that everyone had a VHS tape of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the question again? What did
So,
I enjoy?
what did you enjoy most about being a parent? And you started to say something about mom. Mom something.
Well, Mom and I always were a team. We never had any disputes about how to raise the
That's
family,
great.
raise the kids.
Yeah.
And I think that was very important. That
Yeah.
we had a unanimity on that.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the second part was, what do you enjoy most now about being a parent to adult children?
Uh, well, seeing them do well in their careers is very rewarding. And grandkids, of course, is something that everyone enjoys. And we're blessed that they all have turned out well, in my estimation.
Mm-hmm.
And my children have all turned out well, too. So what more could you ask for?
I agree. Yeah. Lucky.
Yeah, actually, there is some luck involved.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Dad, I know volunteering has been a significant part of your life,
Yeah.
especially after you retired. Can you tell me about all the things you volunteer for, and then which is the most rewarding?
Well, the most rewarding things are volunteering for our church, because I still go to the hospital almost every week to give out communion, and I had some wonderful, rewarding experiences doing that. One that I remember in particular was I went to this room where a woman had her eyes closed, and there was a special duty nurse there, sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman was the only one in the room, and I said, would you like to receive communion? And she opened her eyes, and she slowly nodded her head, so I gave her communion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left, and the nurse came running after me, and she said, I just want you to know that's the first time she's responded to anybody in 2 weeks.
Wow.
That really blew me away.
Wow.
But, there are a lot of examples in the hospital that I could if I really dug into my memory that I could think of, which were of that nature,
Uh-huh.
very rewarding spiritually.
Wow.
So, and of course, when I first became a Eucharistic minister, I would take communion to the shut-ins
Mm-hmm.
after being in church,
Mm-hmm.
and there were some very interesting situations. There were some almost perennial sick people that I could take communion to, so that was very rewarding too.
Mm.
So that volunteer activity, I think, is my most rewarding.
Wow.
But then the others, I did taxes for elderly people, and I always thought of my mother there because she became a widow and she had no knowledge of how to do anything
Wow.
financially, and I thought, some of these people I help could be in the same
Mm-hmm.
situation, and so I always felt rewarded doing that. And I do some Medicare counseling. That's not as rewarding as the tax work was, but still a useful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two of the things I do. What else do I do? Well, serving at funerals. I'm often asked to serve as an altar server at
Mm-hmm.
funerals, and of course that's a very rewarding thing.
The marriage prep, all that.
Marriage prep. Oh, that's a biggie. How could I forget that? 25 years of working at marriage prep.
Wow.
And, you get to help these young people and hope to give them a good start in their marriages. And that, if that always happens, that would be very rewarding. We know of a couple of cases where the marriages didn't succeed, and I always felt kind of bad about that. But I guess
There's a lot of things that can cause that to happen.
Human nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a kind of hard things because we always had to make sure we had enough team members to pull the thing off.
Mm-hmm. So often you were in charge of pulling those folks together?
Oh, for the last at least 10 years. We
Wow.
were the ones that kind of ran
I didn't know that.
the thing, yeah. So we did that for about 25 years. So I felt that all those things benefited other people quite a bit, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got my reward.
Long-standing benefit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, this is a little change question here. What would you say is your favorite adult book? So you could have read it in high school, you could have read it in college, you could have read it in your adult life. One or two of your top favorite books.
Grapes of Wrath was one of my favorites,
Mm.
and more recently the book about the sprinter, the Olympic sprinter.
Yes, Unbroken.
Unbroken, yeah.
Excellent book.
That was a wonderful book. I've always been a favorite of Charles Dickens. So David Copperfield, Tale of Two Cities has always been one of my favorites.
Okay.
I mean, that one, the way it ends is just...
Okay, I haven't read it yet, so don't tell me.
It's just an awesome ending and something you never forget, And I saw the movie a couple of times, old movie. I think Ronald Colman was the star. And it didn't really have the same, it was followed the book exactly, but the ending didn't have as much of an impact on the screen as it did when you read it.
Isn't that the way it always seems to be?
Yeah, and I'll never forget the way that book ends.
Yeah, don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell. So that's my favorite, I would say. But Dickens in general, David Copperfield, Oliver Twist, I've enjoyed all those books. I always enjoyed reading Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
And short stories, and O. Henry.
Oh, okay.
Those two writers and their short stories have held a big fascination for me.
Was Great Expectations one that you also liked?
I did not really, I don't think I read that one.
Okay. I don't know why I thought that. Okay.
But the other readers I enjoy I mentioned O. Henry, Earl Stanley Gardner.
Okay.
He wrote the Perry Mason
Oh,
novels. And
okay.
I think I read all of them.
Wow.
Because when I was at a certain age, probably early high school, especially in the summertime, I was just reading those books all the time.
Wow.
And we were fortunate in having a library 2 blocks from our house on Lawndale
Wow.
Avenue. So I could get these books very easily.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wonderful. It's going to shut off in about 2 seconds here. So I have one question left, and we'll wait till it shuts off to ask that one.